Kiribati. That word. Home to nearly 500,000 people and, until very recently, Monica Schaefer. If once a melting pot of cultural diversity, is now a chaotic mess of wealth and poverty, crime and commerce, anarchy and control. It's also home to our little slice of Berlin, a neighbourhood that the locals call the Kreuz Bazaar. I'm probably saying that wrong. A safe port in the eye of the storm. The ride back to is quiet. No one is in the talking mood as the van veers past potholes and garbage piles. The glare of streetlights and neon signs play across your window, painting the world in a kaleidoscope of garish colours. Soon the van rounds the corner and skids to a halt in a narrow, crumbling alley. This is as far as Berlin's chaotic streets will take you. Your team wordlessly disembarks the vehicle and climbs down into the disused section of the U-Bahn tunnel system. A well-kept secret providing your team a safe passage into your safe house waits on the other side. Let's get inside. Can't happen fast enough, love. The sooner we can get in, the sooner I can get drunk. You step inside, and the squalter of the disused U-Bahn tunnel gives way to warmth of your safe house. A man waits inside, silhouetted against the dim fluorescent lighting. Something bad has happened, hasn't it? He steps forward, revealing a pale and expressionless face, light glinting off steel-rimmed glasses. Paul Amsel, your team's fixer and landlord, part deal-maker, part information broker, and one of the most well-connected men in Berlin. His eyes sweep across the team as he takes it all in. The grim faces, the hard stares, Iger's fury, Monica's absence. I had a feeling. How did this happen? His face has gone ashen. He swallows, takes a moment to chew on the words before spitting them out. How did it happen? Something in the vault security got her while she was jacked in. It was over in an instant. I've seen Monica hit black ice before. This was something worse. Laurie nods, her motions robotic and spare. Monica died of biofeedback induced stroke. That's right, Edgar thrust a glove finger into your chest, and this idiot stood by and let it happen. Let's not say anything. What, nothing to say about that, rookie? If I'd been in your place, Monica would still be alive and with us. Instead, I left her with you, and now my friend is a corpse in a basement. Look, Iger, you weren't there. Stuck in that basement with us, you don't know how things went down in there, so do us all a favour and shut it down, okay? Shut it down? Fuck that. Iger turns to face Diedrich. She towers over him, but he stands his ground. I respect you, Diedrich. You know that. But you don't have my training. None of you have. Monica was good. She was the best, right? But she was also overconfident. She treated the job like it was a game. Do that long enough, and you're going to get burned. Iger turns her focus back to you. If you'd been paying attention, you'd have figured all of this out on your own by now. You've known that Monica needed watching as much as that door. Enough, Iger. Amsel's voice is hoarse, his expression blank. Enough. Iger pushes ahead, heedlessly of interruption. Her voice remains measured, but there's a fire in her eyes. How many seconds pass between Monica's first convulsion and her plug getting pulled? 4? 5? Do you know how much damage biofeedback can do to a Decker's brain in 5 seconds? Look, this won't. You don't have to answer that, of course you know. Monica died while you stood there and watched. This is all your... That's enough. Amsel's voice comes out in a roar and his fist smashes down on the desk behind him. I get you and Richard can have this out later, but I've had enough. We need to take action. We need to talk. Action. Our client sent you into something much bigger than he'd led us to believe. I want to know why. Right there, with you. This was supposed to be a milk run. Payback isn't the only reason why we need to find him. We saw something back there, something that we weren't supposed to see. It's fair to assume we're all still in danger. He pauses, rubs his temples. Agreed. And to neutralise that danger, we need to know who we are dealing with. Let us review the events that transpired tonight. The smallest detail could be important, so hold nothing back. The estate was just a front for whatever was going on in the basement. Amsel nods, that much is clear. It wasn't a minor enterprise either. Facility took serious funds to build. And time. There was more to it than we saw. Places like that don't spring up overnight. And all in secret, the owners, whoever they may be, were none too pleased by your escape, I'm sure. What else did you find? After everything went to hell, we were confronted by an orc in military-grade armour. He appeared to be their head of security. That is not much to go on. Do any details about this orc come to mind? Any distinguishing features that I could look into? He was an older guy, for one. From the sound of his voice, I'm guessing mid to late 40s, pretty old for an orc. And he had skin grafts. Most of his face looked like replacement material. If the grafts came from a legitimate hospital, there may be medical records. This is something. I'll see what I can find out. Did you note anything else during the run that may be of value? Monica lived long enough to say a name. Verschwind. She thought hard to tell us it. Must be important. Amsel seems taken back. He pauses for a moment before responding. The Fire Wing. This is unexpected. You have to forgive me, that brings back many unpleasant memories. Glory raises an eyebrow. The Fire Wing. The most terrible of the great dragons. There are those who would disagree, but they never experienced the terror of living in her shadow. He glances at Glory. You are far too young to remember her, of course, but for Germans of my generation her name, Verschwing, is synonymous with chaos, destruction and death. The dragons of today are subtle creatures, full of patience and guile. Verschwing was not. After her awakening, she went on a 4-month rampage that claimed tens of thousands of lives. Amsel takes a deep breath, slowly releasing it. There is a haunted look in his eyes. Those were dark days. Countless men, women and children were slaughtered, roasted alive in their homes by a creature of legend. No hope for salvation and no end in sight. It was a horror that you cannot begin to understand. What stopped her? I can't imagine that a rampaging dragon would just go away on its own. Eventually the Fire Wing was brought down by a man named Dr. Adrian von Clare. Well, with the help of the Luftwaffe, of course, but it was experimental weapons designed by Dr. von Clare that finally pierced her hide. She fell in a hail of bullets and rocket fire and crashed down into the radioactive wasteland of the Sock. This event was called the Dragonfall. Safe at last from the dragon's wrath, Germany celebrated von Clare as a hero, and our own Siegfried, a modern-day dragon slayer. My own family practically worshipped the man. If the Dragonfall was important, an event as you make it out to be, I'm surprised that I've never heard of it. Those early years of the awakening were traumatic, I guess. Not just on a national level, but on a global scale. New species of awakened animals were being discovered daily. Within 2 years of the Dragonfall, the active use of magic had returned to the world, a new source of terror for a bewildered public. And in 2021, the sudden emergence of orcs and trolls gave rise to yet another wave of global panic. In light of such turmoil, is it any surprise that Dr. von Clare and the Fire Wing were forgotten? Dragons were yesterday's news. He rubs his temples. Again, all of this happened decades ago. To best of my knowledge, the story of the Fire Wing is a bit of historic trivia and nothing more. Alright, so Monica spent her dying breath trying to tell us about a long-dead dragon. Iga sweeps her eyes across the ground, searching for a glimmer of insight. Finally, she gives up. Any ideas to why? Amstel's voice trembles with frustration. No, it doesn't make any more sense to me than it does to you. The Dragonfall is ancient history. Firestring has been dead and gone for 42 years. But there's one thing that I do know. Whatever Monica saw, whatever she was trying to tell us, it was important. He visibly struggles to calm himself, takes a deep breath and slowly releases it. I will look into this and I will find answers. In the meantime, did you turn up anything else of value? That's all we've got. That's not much. Amsel nods, his face is drawn and haggard. It is thin, I agree. A basement, a middle-aged orc with skin grafts and a long-forgotten world event. Whoever sent us knew what we were walking into, we were set up. That's obvious, but why? Paul's face reddened. I warned her, I told her not to take this run, but she assured me it would be a cakewalk. You didn't bring it to her? No, she set the whole thing up herself. Monica was approached recently by a man who called himself Green Winters. He used to be a prominent activist in the F-state political scene. I never much liked the man, and I certainly never trusted him. Monica, she would do anything for a cause, anything for the Flux state, he sighs. Winters swore the data he was after was crucial to ensure the future stability of the Flux. And that was all it took. Sounds like Green Winters is our best lead then. Yes, most definitely. It's clear that Green Winters has involved us in something much larger than he led Monica to believe. When he finds out what happened on the run, he's probably going to rabbit. We need to chase him down before that happens. So we need information on Green Winters, and we need it fast. How do we find this guy? There's a man here a Turk named Ultgag Bagatsi. He owns a little soy calf shop just down the way called Cafe Kravaz. This man is also a purveyor of information. I've done business with him from time to time. And you think he would know something about Green Winters? Amsel nods. When I discovered Monica's renewed association with Green Winters, I contacted Ultug. One of his people has been keeping tabs on Winters ever since. As I said, I didn't trust the man. Best to be cautious in our line of work. I should go meet with him then. Yes, tell him I sent you. I'll do what I can to dig into the information that you've uncovered already, sparse though it might be. So now we get to chat to everyone, find out what's going on in their respective heads. Diedrich turns his head as you approach, his aging face traces the network of faint scars, the legacy of too many fights over too many years. While he still retains a degree of strength and vigour, it's obvious that the shaman you see today is a shadow of his former self. Despite all of this, there is still an aura of power surrounding the man. He raises his bottle, offering it to you. Richard, welcome. I've got a bottle of schnapps that needs sharing, and we've got a fallen comrade to drink to do. Liquor in the bottle is crystal clear, and as you raise it, it catches an intoxicating whiff of the cloves and caramel of its taste, of sweet corn and walnuts, with a lingering aftertaste of buttery toffee. You swallow the swig, then return the bottle to Diger's outstretched hand. He takes a long pull on the bottle, then locks eyes with you. Let me ask you a question, Richard. What made you choose to come to Berlin? Why do you want to know? Monica told me that you moved here from the Rheinrud megaplex. Made it sound you'd been there for a good many years, successful years at that. Leads a man to wonder why you packed up and moved here. Say a member of my crew betrayed me, ain't that a pisser? I can handle all sorts of things, but betrayal always makes me see red. There are extenuating circumstances. If he didn't do what he did, his family would have paid the price. That's rough, but it's still on him, not you. You should have been more careful. What do you think? What could I do? I faked my own death. It was the only way to save his family's lives. Wouldn't have been my choice, but good on you. I suppose all the same. Richard, saints don't tend to last very long in this line of work. Trust me, I've watched enough of them by it to know. Okay, so you faked your own death, bailed out on the rest of your team, and made your way to Berlin. Takes another drink of it, takes another pull on the bottle. Am I getting that right? More or less. There wasn't much left for me in the reports, and Monica made me one hell of an offer. Ah yes, Monica. Diedrich raises the bottle again and closes his eyes and takes a long drink. After the moment has passed, he returns his attention to you. It all comes back to our girl, doesn't it? So let me ask you, just what was your relationship with Monica anyway? I know that you two knew each other way back, but she was pretty coy about these things. Why do you want to know? Monica was my friend and I cared about her. Diedrich shrugs. I don't know. I guess I just want to get to know her better. There were some areas of her life that she always been a mystery. And if you could shed any light on them, I'd be appreciative. I knew Monica well enough to know what she meant. She did have a mysterious way about her. So what was the deal between you two? Don't leave me in suspense. Figured as much, not from anything you or Monica said, just had a suspicion. Well, anyway, good on you both. She was a wonderful woman, and I hope that the time you had together was happy. Anyway, I've taken enough of your time, and the bottle is almost empty. Thanks for taking the time to talk. For what it's worth, I'm happy you're here with us. She takes one final pull on the bottle and tips it forward, pouring the rest on the ground. Rest in peace, Monica. We'll miss you, girl. Go through what we've got. So if we clear everything out, we just put everything back in. So speak to Iger. Oh, Iger glares at you, and you can taste the bile in her stare. She clearly still blames you for Monica's death. Something I can do for you, fearless leader? You're wrong about me, Iger. I intend to prove that to you. She stares at you at a moment, then looks away. Best of luck with that, Richard. No, please leave me alone. As you wish. Speak to Glory. Glory is beautiful in a waifish sort of way. Her features are almost elvish in the delicacy, but there's something cold about her that you find slightly unsettling. What's more unsettling is her chrome. Glory is rocking a heavy loadout of cyberware. From head to toe, she looks to be composed more of plastic and metal than she is of skin and bone. In the shadows, individuals such as this are anything but uncommon, but Glory's cyber is first generation, all of it. Bulky, invasive, practically museum pieces. This chrome was obsolete well before she was born. Richard, Glory shifts her gaze to you, but her expression is cool and placid as always. Can I help you? Hey Glory, how are you holding up? Don't worry about me, I'm solid. Sure, you look like you're a million miles away. If you say you're good, I trust you. Glory's expression remains neutral. She grants you a barely perceivable nod. Any thoughts on what we should do next? Find our missing client, extract some answers. Beyond that, find another Decker. Monica won't be easily replaced, but we should start looking now. I have a question for you, Glory, of the personal kind. I'm not big on sharing sport, personal reasons. You understand, I'm sure. Sure, I understand, but I still need to talk to you. If you ever want to run with me again, you'll answer my questions now. Of course, we all have our secrets, but if you ever want to talk, I'm here. Spellcasting and conjuring. Use astral perception to read Glory's aura. Without shifting your attention away from Glory, you allow your consciousness to partially slip into the astral plane. As your third eye opens to the hidden world around you, you feel the familiar tingle of dormant senses awakening. The room you're standing in slowly shifts to match its true nature, a lifeless expanse of grey, ugly and cold. Your own body, however, explodes into a swirling chaos of colour. As the astral plane shimmers into view, you focus on Glory. You can still see her with your corporeal vision, her delicate frame, the bulky cyberware that breaks her silhouette, the faraway look in her eyes, but laid over the top, her physical body. And there is a slight shimmer, her aura, damaged though it may be. The chroma Glory is sporting has done a real number on her. Whatever she may have been before she went under the knife, her aura is now reminiscent of the room she's standing in. Cold, dead thing, mockingly sculpted into a of life. Somewhere within that mutilated aura, a shred of humanity awaits, but finding it isn't going to be easy. Suddenly, Glory's body language changes. Look on her face is something between suspicion and alarm. Have I got something in my teeth? You're staring with an aura this shredded by cyberware and surgery. It's going to take a minute to gather any useful information. Continue reading her aura, just trying to figure you out. There's a lot. I imagine that we're all doing, yourself included, and yet you don't find me gawking at you. As Glory speaks, you continue to focus, shifting through the void left by her vintage chrome to find tatters of her original essence. Finally, you catch a glimpse of colour, a flash of her true self, and behind it something else. In reflex panic, your third eye slams shut, the hidden world of the astral plane disappears from view, but an after image of what you saw remains twisted in your mind. Glory is, or was, magically active. A shred of her essence that filtered past your vision left you sure of that. What's more, you wager that she had real power once, terrifying power, of a sort that you can only guess at. All of this was surprising, but it was what you saw behind her aura that chilled you to the core. There was something connected to Glory's essence, a metaphysical tether stitched into the fabric of her soul. It reminded you of a leash. You cannot say for sure what was holding on the other end, but whatever it was enormous and ancient and cruel. And you can't shake the feeling that, as you looked into it, it stared back at you. Trembling, you find yourself back in the mundane world. Glory is staring at you, her neutral expression ever so slightly tinged with annoyance. I'll talk to you later. She shrugs. Suit yourself. As you start towards the safe house door, a large four-legged form steps around the corner. Dante, Monica's dog, an enormous mongrel of indeterminate breed. A low whimper emerges as you enter the room, head hanging low. Oh shit, Dante. Diedrich shakes his head. Don't worry, boy. We'll look after you. At the sight of Monica's dog, Amstel's eyes well up. He inhales, but can't catch his breath. He started whimpering about an hour ago, turned into a full-blown howl, wouldn't stop, kept. He closes his eyes. That's when I realised something bad had happened. Looking down into those huge brown eyes, you see intelligence and sadness. He lets out a small whine and rubs his head against yours. Against you. Scratching behind the ears. Dante leans into you and looks up mournfully, pressing his ribs against your leg. I guess the dog is going to be with you now. Amstel takes a ragged breath and releases it, and a slow, melancholy smile plays across his face. Well, perhaps part of Monica lives on in Dante. Return to the safe house when you're finished with Ultug Main. With a little luck, he can help us locate Green Winters, and we can get to the bottom of this. He stares at the floor. And now I think we should all take a moment. His lips tighten for Monica. So now we head out. We'll head out onto the streets and do some exploration. Okay, so let's head up here first. Donations for the soup kitchen have slowed, Samuel. No, I'm not surprised. So we can speak to Samuel. At the sound of your approach, the orc turns to face you. He wears a severe expression, but there is kindness in his eyes. Hello, human. As you can see, I'm in the middle of a conversation with my assistant. The volunteer worker holds her silence, but her expression is full of naked hostility. Samuel gives her a sidelong glance, and she seems to get the message. Fire in her eyes dies down to a low simmer. We do not want to be impolite. Is there something I can do for you? I couldn't help overhearing the conversation. I take it you read a charity of sorts? He nods. Yes. It isn't much, but we do what we can. He clears his throat and then begins to count off his fingers. In the past several years, I've established a shelter where the dispossessed can sleep, a soup kitchen to feed the hungry, and a library where people of the Cabasa can better themselves. It isn't much, I admit, but it's a start. A good start, Samuel. You mustn't be so hard on yourself. There are limits to what one man, even a determined man, can accomplish. It is true. He nods to the orc at his side. Thankfully, some residents have helped us over the years, have come back around to help me. I've got 15 assorted orcs and trolls from all around Cabasa working with me now. They help me man the soup line, stock the library shelves, and do all of the hundreds of other things that a community organisation needs done every day. These extraordinary individuals are living proof that what we do here has value. They are my inspiration to continue forward. She beams at the compliment from her body language. It is clear that she idolises Beckenbauer. Now, do you have any more questions? If not, I will bid you good day. I don't wish to sound self-important or rude, but there are many pressing matters that demand my time. Are you accepting donations? Yes, of course. We're actually desperate for them, truth to be told. People seem more intent on taking care of themselves than they are in providing for the less fortunate. Of course, these concepts are not unrelated. Oh, excuse me. As poverty rates increase, so does the crime rate. Assisting the needy increases the quality of life for all. In the event our shelter needs some basic needs that desperately need to be filled. The walls of the shelter are not insulated, and new blankets would go a long way towards keeping our guests healthy and comfortable. Ideally, we're looking to purchase some space heaters as well. 250 will make the purchase, of course. I don't expect a relative stranger to our Kais to contribute that much. Whatever you can spare would be most appreciated. Yeah, take 250. Samuel's eyes widen. This is incredibly generous. Thank you. Mine. It's not a big deal. Do some good with it. With the donation, we have reached our first goal. Thank you so much for your kind assistance. I'll put your contributions to work, stocking the shelter with blankets and heaters. Not a problem. Please do not downplay your contribution. You have shown kindness in a time when few others will. That means something. It means a great deal. Let's talk about something else. Very well. If you wish, what would you like to talk about? Nothing, I'm just passing by. Before stands your troll, though it's a stretch to say he's standing at all. He's a great mass. He's barely held upright by two vintage prosthetic legs. Along with a crutch under one arm, his body clinks and hums with every shift of his weight. Despite these disabilities, his eyes are sharp and calculating. I know you. If you know Monica. Sure, I know Monica. You're one of hers then. I'm Richard, by the way. Good to meet you, Richard. My name is Alexi Lan. Or Lane. What do you do here? Ache and groan, mostly. And try not to be a bother. There's something you should know about Monica. Something happened to her on the run. I'm afraid so. However, there have already been whispers. I have a feeling, besides Monica almost always comes around after a run to check on everyone. She's long overdue. And now, here you are in her place. So she either severely wounded or outright dead, which is it? I'm afraid she's gone. The grizzled troll nods grimly. Servos in his prosthetics complain as he lets loose a heavy sigh. Now that's a shame, she was one hell of a runner, that one, and a good friend. I'll leave you be.